What's up, gamers? It's your boy, the KOBRA Commander, Master Marcolian, and the real-life Lemmy. Today, we've got a Marcolian meta breakdown. Let's get into it. In today's meta, there are 3 S-tier decks, and 2 of them are Marcolian. In fact, they're both Catherine LaPointe, the Mad General. Truly, none stand before Mars. Truly, none stand before Mars. Those 3 decks are Universal Workshop, Catherine Units, and Catherine Effects or Spells. For the last couple of tournaments and this weekend's major, both Cathy and Workshop have been the most common ban targets by far. And because Cathy has 2 versions that you can build, she's my pick for the true meta deck today. In addition to Catherine, though, Lemieux is still a viable Paragon, and ADHQ is at least viable in a tournament setting, as we recently proved. But nobody is seriously running those 2 decks on the ladder. Let's break them down. And we start with today's most popular deck, Unit Catherine. This is easily the most popular version, and it's very heavy on 1-drop and 3-drop units. The deck is fairly straightforward to play, but it does require some expert level decision making towards the middle and late game. We often want to lead with our Crimson Fleet Machinist so that we can draw ramp to play on turn 3. And on turn 3 we want to play our ramp, either Logistics Support Cruiser directly followed by another 1-drop unit to pick up Catherine's passive, or a Rally Cry that we hope will hit a Logistics Support Cruiser, as well as give us another unit that will pick up the Catherine buff. Even better if you're able to Rally Cry, hit the Logistics Support Cruiser, and then still drop another 1-drop unit to really maximize your value on that turn. Rune Tinkerer is another popular 3-cost unit, and it really helps you go wide. Marielle is in the deck, and we're looking to play her a little bit later after some 3-cost units have hit the board, like Logistics Support Cruiser or the Rune Tinkerer, so that we can kill it with Marielle and pull our Fire Support Base or Astel's Glaive. It is strongest when you can Rally Cry into Marielle, but that requires a bit of luck. Note, we only have 1 2-cost unit in the entire deck, Lord Harf. So you only want to sacrifice a 1-drop to marry if Harf is going to be useful immediately. In a pinch, you can also sacrifice a Fire Support Base or Cathy to pull a Wong, or you could sacrifice Wong to pull the Victory. Just make sure that the card you're looking for is still in the deck when you do it. Catherine also brings Miasmancer so that she can block Universal plays. But you're only going to need that sometimes. If Universal is giving you trouble when playing this deck, you could consider adding a couple of Scimitar Captains as well. Both decks, however, require some high skill or high luck turns in the middle of the game. Those mid-game turns can often decide the match, even if all of the damage-based action comes a little bit later. Unit Cathy wants to flood the board early, then drop Fire Support Base, Glaive, Catherine herself, or the Victory in the middle. You need to pay attention to which units are still in your deck. It's likely that a few will have been banked early, and of course a few of them have been played early as well. But which 3 costs can you still hit on your Rally Cry or Triumph of Mars? Is Marielle still in the deck? If so, how many Fire Support Bases are still in the deck? Opponents will constantly complain about being high-rolled, but the truth is that in the late-game situations, smart players know which winning cards are still left in their deck. This is an essential skill to develop if you're going to be a strong Catherine player. Once you have 1 or more of your 3-cost units on the board, Marielle can flip them into Fire Support Base and help you overwhelm your opponents quickly. Effect or Spell Cathy is the version that was previously dominating the meta before Fleet Support got nerfed. It's still wicked good though, and in my opinion, even better than the unit version. There's a few ways to run the deck, and they're all pretty similar. You're going to have 16 to 18 units typically, all of your face damage cards, plus 1 or 2 fleet supports. In this version, fleet support is really not required at all, but it can still really help us finish games. Early pressure plus ramping into some big combos is the way that we're going to win. Personally, I like to include Iron Core Quartermaster as well so that we can recycle some of our effects. Effect Cathy plays a little bit differently once we get to the mid game because in those middle turns, you're eventually going to lose the board. That's okay though because we're planning to finish with our effects. You still need to pay attention to the units that are available in your deck. Late rally cries need to hit units that are immediately useful because we likely don't control the board and therefore can't expect many of them to last until our next turn. That means you're looking for artillery spotters and quartermasters if they're in there. Keep in mind that quartermaster requires assault, so you're going to need to be able to do some damage first. Let's consider a common example. It's turn 7 and you have in hand Triumph of Mars, Rally Cry, and Orbital Strike. Our opponent has 7 health left. There's 5 units left in the deck, including all 3 artillery spotters. Rally Cry has great odds to hit a spotter in this case, and if you do, that Orbital Strike becomes lethal and a win. However, if there's only 7 units left in your deck and only one of those is a spotter, now your odds are much, much lower to hit the spotter. Triumph of Mars, however, gets to draw 3 cards and it can still play the same 7 units for free that Rally Cry could. But it also brings the potential to draw other winning cards, including, for example, another Triumph of Mars, which in this case would be reduced to 2 energy and therefore still be playable this turn. You could also hit a Rally Cry on your Triumph of Mars, which would then give you a free chance to try and roll for the artillery spotter. In this case, the situation looks the same, but has a very different correct play based on the cards left in our deck. Another really important consideration between Crimson Fleet Machinist, Marielle, and Rally Cry, we have several cards in our deck that we're playing early and mid game that are drawing units specifically from our deck. That means that the effects get left behind for late game situations. So it makes sense once you get to say turn 5, 6, 7, when you can play Triumph of Mars to keep track of how much face damage effects are still in the deck compared to the number of cards that are still remaining in the deck. This will naturally thin out the units that we don't want late game in order to draw the effects that we do want late game. This means the later that you go and the more of those unit drawing cards that you have played before you play Triumph of Mars, the more likely you are to hit on those face damage effects that we're looking for at the end of the game. If it's late enough, you might have a guaranteed shot to draw those cards.
Okay, let's jump into some gameplay. Here we're facing a Juggernaut Workshop deck. It's 99% likely to be universal, so we're just going to go ahead and assume that. We want to go first, and we get to. The hand is pretty strong here. We've got a 1-drop unit in Crimson Fleet Machinist, plus PS8, plus we have Logistics Support Cruiser. Our Machinist is going to draw a LSC as well, but holding it here and hitting a second one allows us to ramp really quickly, so that's what we're going for. We hit another crack shot and Lord Harf. Not too bad. We're going to go ahead and bank the crack shot. An early Harf is not terribly useful in this particular matchup, but we've got the PS8, so we get some good value from that. Our opponent leads with an AZ Target Painter. That's almost always what they're going to lead with, sometimes PS8 when they're on the draw. We're going to go ahead and drop our Harf here, which makes PS8 free, and then we're going to go ahead and shoot the AZ Target Painter. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try and attack it first. Sometimes our opponent makes a mistake and allows that attack to go through, which would kill the painter. He's not that dumb, so he blocks with his shield pod. We're going to shoot the painter so that we can kill it next turn. Now, this turn is typically where opponents are using their target painter to get some easier kills. He's got a mercenary gunslinger, which allows him to kill my Crimson Fleet machinist. Luckily, no PS8 though, because that would kill the Harf and be a little bit worse. Now, we've drawn Triumph of Mars here. We like that with a ramp. So we're going to go ahead and do our ramp here and bank the second logistics support cruiser. A little bit of a change in plan. That is okay, and you got to be flexible as you're playing this game. Try to kill the target painter one more time. It fails again. And our opponent gets their turn 3. They are ramping also, common move from Universal decks, and we've now seen all Universal cards, so confirmed that that is the case. We top deck a Quartermaster here, which is great. That's going to let us draw an effect from the waste. We've got a PS8 in there. We're going to go ahead and trigger Assault. We're going to put our spotter down first so that we can get a buff on the Quartermaster. I like that with this deck because we've got a few different ways to reveal banked cards and redraw our effects. We don't have very many effects in the waste. We only have the PS8 launcher, which we're going to get back here. We're out of energy, but Lord Harf still makes that card free, so we're going to play this PS8 a second time for 0 energy. Nice value. That also means that our spotter is going to ping for 2. And we end our turn. We got another Triumph of Mars. So that is what the game wants us to do next, I think. Take a look at what our opponent does. A black market fixer here removes our spotter. Boo. The spotter is key to the Catherine Burn deck or Catherine Effects deck. He's got another mercenary gunslinger here. He's going to put 1 damage on the Quartermaster. Then he trades into it with support cruiser so that he can get his draw. That also brings Quartermaster down to 2 health, which means that his artillery juggernaut here can shoot it and kill it. We still have a couple of units on the board. We've drawn Recon. We're going to go ahead and bank that and use our first Triumph of Mars. Puts the second one back at the bottom of the deck. And unfortunately, we have drawn almost no value at all here. This is especially terrible because we're not getting any value from the Triumph of Mars. Lord Harf already makes the PS8 launcher and the crack shot free for us. We save 1 energy on Determined Assault, which is nice. We can hold on to that one for a subsequent turn, but we're going to go ahead and fire the other 2 effects here and then attack. We want to put damage on our support cruiser when we can, because that is going to draw us another card. We're pretty much out of cards, so that is important, and we're going to want that to die most likely on the next turn. His turn 5 with 6 energy, he's going with Kozo. He hits a fleet support. Now, against many decks, that is a very nice hit. Against this deck, though, they have very few effects to play, so this is not a big deal. Getting a rally cry here is very nice. We draw by killing our support cruiser and we get a fleet support. That helps a lot. Now we can double up on our rally cry, which is going to provide us with 4 units. This is important. Now he's going into his turn 7, so he's going to Ingrid next turn and he's going to steal one of these units from me, but I need to build a board here because we've only done 8 damage so far, and we need a way to finish. Second rally cry brings a spotter, which is very nice, as well as another bannerman. We have played 2 effects already. We've got another one in our hand, so our bannermen are going to get pretty big here. We'd spread these out just in case. Positioning likely doesn't matter here very much. Now, if we can get any of our bannermen up to 6 attack, then it won't be stolen by Ingrid, but that's not going to be doable here. So we're just putting maximum pressure on our opponent so that we have a chance to finish next turn. There's the Ingrid. We got him down to 15 on our last turn, which is definitely helpful. He's taking my bigger Bannerman here. He's going to get a free Kozo, which hits Recon. Not a terribly useful card for our opponent in this particular case, but it is free. It's going to get doubled by the fleet support. It's going to provide him some opportunity to draw more cards, which he doesn't need because he just got Ingrid, but that's going to juice up his Bannerman even more. Not great for us, but Ingrid always brings a ton of value. We have 24 life here, so we're going to survive at least one more turn, and we got to find a way to do 15 damage. If he leaves our Bannerman or Spotter down, that is going to help a lot. But we got no cards in hand after the Ingrid, so we need to hit something useful here. Luckily, the deck is designed to provide useful cards towards the end, so decent chance that we get that. We also have the fleet support down, so we can double up on any of our effects. We've drawn another Quartermaster, and luckily we can trigger Assault here, so we have an opportunity to get an effect back. And in this particular case, I have counted up, and Rally Cry is still the right move. We reveal a card. We're going to draw our Rally Cry here. We could go with another Triumph of Mars. We do have enough energy for that, but we don't have anything to bank. We also have a Vigilant Patrol down, which is going to reveal another card on this turn, so we get a chance to draw another effect unit. And we find the Spotter that we are looking for. This is going to allow us to do a lot more damage on this particular turn. Here comes our second Rally Cry. So keeping track, we've done 4 damage already. He's down to 10. We get a Logistics Support Cruiser plus another Vigilant. We've got all 3 of those down on the board now. What I don't notice there, though, is that Logistics Support Cruiser just banked Quartermaster. Now, I was hoping to hit another Quartermaster on one of these 2 Rally Cries. It did not happen, but we're about to reveal another card here, which means that we can pull another effect out of the waste. We've got enough to do another Rally Cry, and if the Quartermaster is still in the deck, then it is guaranteed to get hit on this particular one. Plus, we'll be able to draw more 1 costs, which will be free with Hearth. Unfortunately, I didn't notice that Logistics Support Cruiser banked the last Quartermaster, so we're gonna get nothing here. Oof, big miss. And the reality is, if I could have revealed another card, we could have won the game there. We didn't get it. We fall just a tad short due to some bad luck. But he still needs to finish us on this turn, and it doesn't look like he can't. The fact that his Ingrid just removed my Artillery Spotter means that this game is over. He's doing his trades here, trying to figure out if there's any way for him to survive another turn. He's actually going to mess this up here. His fleet support is coming in handy. We see he removes a Vigilant Patrol. His Bannerman is getting massively juiced up. Still has lots of energy. Another PS8. So this is going to juice it up a little bit more. And he gets the Vigilant Patrol down to 2 so that he can shoot it with his Artillery Juggernaut. The Bannerman, I think, was supposed to do an attack there and remove one of my units. He failed to do so. He also didn't use his Defender. Doesn't matter because we top decked Cindy, so we would have been able to finish the game there regardless, but that is a little bit of a mistake by our opponents.